too, right? So we have a merchandise that's planned. Our first burn event would take place 1 month after, the token launch, not including the promotional burn that we'll be doing after pre-sale. And then in Q4, we're going to be releasing an NFT that there's 3 tiers to it. The first tier adds 25% to your voting power. The second tier, 50%, and the third tier doubles your voting power. So, like, let's say you're a project and you want to make sure that you receive that burn vote and you want to make sure you win that. You could essentially go to people who own the NFT and say, I want to buy your tier 3 that doubles our voting power. I'll pay you X amount to buy that. So we're looking at the NFT having a really strong secondary market because people want to be able to level up their vote power. Because as OnlyBurns supply, decreases, they're gonna need a way to be able to compete with, say, a smart individual who bought early and then sat on their chunk of supply. Now they have a lot more governance power than, say, a protocol that's coming in, a year later and is trying to buy up these tokens that now cost a lot more due to the reduction in supply, right? So we see a strong secondary market for those NFT sales as being a potential. And, we're working on setting up some protocol partnerships. I know I've been having a chat with the gentleman over at Gauss in regards to potentially working together because they like what they did for the Sphere Burn contest, and they want to kind of expand a little bit more on that. So, yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, this is all pretty, like, really, really interesting to me, and I think it's really well thought out. So I commend you on that. But it's really interesting that you guys are including those tiered NFTs because a lot of other protocols, like in particular node protocols, they kind of have these tiered NFTs that just boost the APY and just kind of add to the Ponzonomics aspect to it. But with this, it's adding to the actual utility of the token rather than just the yields that you're getting. So I think it's super cool, and it's a great, great, great revenue stream for future campaigns or paying the team or whatever you guys use that revenue for, and then opens up the opportunity for a reoccurring secondary market revenue stream too. So I really like that.
Yeah, a lot of these NFTs I see, in projects that are like nodes or rebases or whatnot, all it does is increase the speed at which their token inflates, right?
Yep.
Instead of deflating. Um, and oh yeah, I see Brent is dropping little tidbits there in the AMA questions room.
There's a
But
reason why we nicknamed him Brent the Schiller.
oh, yeah, yeah, he's always bringing up how the rebellion is working with all these protocols. um, so I see a question right here that I wanted to touch on real quick, where they asked, might have missed this, but what does UFDP stand for? So initially, um, so some of the best DeFi projects that I've come across, in my opinion, started off uh, almost almost based off of a joke, right? Where someone makes I wish I could pay you in seed coin, and then it spawns, the entirety of, a project called Parrotly Finance. um, and then Only Burns. It originally generated in the Sphere Discord after a couple of the members and one of the mods was joking back and forth about making a token called Ultra Ferret Dodge Panda 69 Inu. And so of course the contract got deployed, and like, there was like $17 of liquidity there, and it was uh, just to like put a chart that people could see for the joke, right? And I told them, do not buy this, right? This is a joke. And they started buying it. I'm like, well, this is a problem. And so I'm thinking to myself, what unique utility have I always wanted to see that doesn't really that I've been wanting to do, but it doesn't really fit in with the ecosystems of my other projects that we could actually turn this into. And thus enters burning as a service. And so we put a pause on UFDP, and we are going to be launching as OnlyBurns. We secured OnlyBurns.com, secured, uh, all of that. And we're going to be launching September 3rd for our pre-sale. And so that's kind of where UFDP came from. It's a nod to our initial joke that spawned this beautiful hot project.
Nice. Yeah, I was one of those very, very early on people that put just a couple bucks in, and that turned into a couple $1,000 after people started buying it up. And then how did you manage to, because I know you guys are relaunching, right, into a more like official project. So
Correct.
what's kind of the process of that? Because I know you probably, hopefully, explain the situation to your investors well, and I think a lot of people are understanding, but there might be a couple of people confused or upset about the way that it was gone about. So could you touch up on how exactly you're making that transition?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually addressed it during an AMA to all of our holders, and we didn't really see any negative feedback. Everyone was actually excited that we were going to be transitioning into a proper project. So the problem was starting based off of a joke like we had with UFDP is that you simply don't have liquidity, right? You didn't have a pre-sale to raise the liquidity. If you have like a fair launch with $17 in a liquidity pool, people can buy, and it will make the price go up. I think we went up a total of like 18,000%. It was ridiculous, right? But that doesn't matter because there's no actual liquidity in there to support it being a proper project, right? And then you get people who were able to buy, 10% of the supply for like $5 back when, when they first started buying it because of how cheap everything was. And that just puts them in the position to continually drain the liquidity, which is what we started seeing happen. And so to protect everyone's money, most people, they only put in like 5, 15, maybe $20. There were a couple of individuals who put in, like a couple $100. But to protect their money, what we did is we put a pause on UFDP. We removed the liquidity, and it is sitting inside a wallet that is transparent. We have that listed on our Discord. And that way they can see the funds are still there. They're being, they're not going anywhere. Of course, they're due to the liquidity draining that was happening from one of the whales who bought early. Um, there was like nowhere near enough to just straight refund everyone. So what we're doing is when we do the launch, there's a whitelist phase. Anyone who purchased the UFDPD or UFDP, they are able to buy at a discounted rate. That is capped, right? So we won't run into the mega whale issue again. But they're able to buy some at a discounted rate. And plus, for the first 4 months, their old UFDP tokens will be counted in governance votes, just to kind of give them a nod and an appreciation for being there with us from the very beginning. And then during launch, they will be airdropped the dollar equivalent of what they spent on UFDP. So if they bought $5 worth and got like 10% of the supply, they're going to get $5 worth of the relaunched token. If they came in later after we'd already gone up 1,800% and they bought $200 worth, then they're going to get $200 worth of the relaunched proper supply token. So we wanted to make sure everyone was whole, and that they didn't lose just because they were there to support us from the beginning.
Gotcha. So I get my $1.86 back. Woo!
Or
No, I'm just messing around. It's a there's not a great way to go about that huge transition, but I think it was handled very well. I'm just joking around. I'm not upset that I my $1.86 is being returned from me for investing into Ultra Ferret Doge 69 Inu. So it's all good.
yeah, absolutely. And it's it's one thing to, I mean, because I'm sure with your buy that you did early, and you look at it, like when it had gone up 1,800%, and you're like, oh, it's worth thousands and thousands of dollars. But there's no way, based off the liquidity that was there, that you would have been able to even really cash any of that out, right? Um, and so relaunching as a proper project, returning what everyone spent to them in, stake in the new relaunched proper token is just a great way to make sure that everyone is made whole. You're right. There's no ideal way to handle something like that, but we felt it was infinitely better than just saying, oh, we're shutting it down, or, oh, tough luck. That's DeFi, right? Um, we wanted to go ahead and have a proper relaunch and make sure that they were made whole with that.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Um, but yeah, I mean, we can move on to another question I had, and that
Yeah.
is, so when you buy the token, you cast your vote through burning that token. What is the incentive for doing that versus just buying? Let's say I want to participate in Sphere and I want to help them get the vote for burning the tokens. What's stopping me from just buying and burning Sphere tokens rather than buying and burning UFDP tokens to cast that vote?
So, I mean, you could, right? But here's the problem. It's called bystander syndrome, and it's when you're in a situation and everyone always says, well, someone else will take care of it, right? Um, so if you're in Sphere and you want to see Sphere bought and burnt, just as an example, let's say you buy $10 worth of Sphere and then burn it. Okay, what did you accomplish? Not a whole lot. Let's say you managed to get, 5 or 6 or 10, maybe 100 people from Sphere to all buy $10 worth and then burn it. Okay, so if you got 100 of them, you get them to buy $10 worth. Okay, that's still not a lot, right? That's $1,000. That doesn't accomplish much. But let's say you come over to OnlyBurns and they each buy $10 worth of OBurn and then burn it for the vote. Let's say that happens to be enough for them to win the vote. Theoretically, let's say we'll use low volume here. Let's say OBurn manages to accomplish, maybe $100,000 over the course of the month in buy volume, which again is pretty low. I know when Parrotly launched during the first 2 days, we had $500,000 come in. So, we'll take 10% of that. That's $10,000. Okay, so you effectively 10x'd the effect of the buyback and burn, right? Not to mention, a large single candle can trigger FOMO. If you've got a group of people who are trying to do these buys, 9 times out of 10, like I've watched them try to organize buy trains on Sphere before, and what happens is people wind up selling into it. So it never actually triggers a FOMO effect.
Gotcha. Yeah,
So
that makes sense. So, what do you
yeah,
have? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, essentially, you're able to leverage OnlyBurns volume to create a much larger effect than if you or a group of your friends tried to do it on your own.
Gotcha. Okay. So, do you have any protocols that have like expressed interest in participating in the ecosystem through holding one of the NFTs or shouting you guys out saying, "Hey, this is an opportunity to get some tokens bought and burned. Go participate."
Yeah, so we are talking with a couple of different protocols right now. I'm hesitant to list their names until like details are hashed out. But we're currently in talks about four right now. This is our first AMA, so this is us saying hello world. This is what we're building. This is who we are. Moving forward, I'm going to be doing a lot more AMAs with other projects and other protocols, and talking about the benefits and networking, and just really, really getting our name out there. But hello world. So but we love you guys over here, and we wanted to have our introduction to the DeFi space be here with you. Exactly, Papa Big Mac. Print, hello world. Um, but yeah, so that's we are going to be doing the networking with the other protocols and getting basically statements of intent, so we can really start gathering that interest base and getting people excited about Burns as a service.
Gotcha. No, I like it. That's a definitely a good plan, and I think definitely protocols would be interested. It could be almost taken as a fun community engagement event as well. Like the community's banding together to help the protocol. I think that's both a beneficial way to uh, get volume into the protocol and to build the community even stronger. So definitely something that I think would have a lot of people interested.
Yep, exactly. I see a lot of projects, um, that want to have burns, right? Communities that want to have burns. But then you see some projects that want to do a burn, and what do? They burn OTC, right? Tokens that weren't out of the liquidity. Does that affect the price? No, no, not really. It doesn't do anything for you as the holder. I've I'm hesitant to mention names, but y'all know who I'm talking about. They do some pretty big burns, right? But it's all OTC. It's not coming out of liquidity. It's not affecting the price. It doesn't do anything in the short term. I mean, sure, it restricts supply long term, but it doesn't help you, right? Only burns, we buy it from the liquidity, and there's many protocols that may not have the cash on hand to buy from their own liquidity and then burn the tokens, right? They can essentially, quote unquote, contract that out to us by maybe buying, let's say, $500 worth of O-burn and then burning it to vote for their project. Getting their community to come buy $10 or whatever of O-burn and burning it towards their project. That adds up. It adds up fast. And if they buy in early as a protocol that has a feeling they may want to do that in the future, they can snag up a good chunk of governance, right? So that down the road, when they want to do a burn to drive community FOMO, they can use a lot of that governance power to vote for their own project. They could buy an NFT once that's released from one of the members who manages to mint a tier 3, right? That doubles their voting power. So if you're minting, only burn NFTs, and you get a tier 3 that doubles voting power, hang on to that sucker, right?
Yeah, definitely. How many NFTs are you guys going to be having available to mint?
So we are looking to keep the supply low, right? We don't want a whole lot of them floating out and about. Plus, that increases because it's a utility NFT, right? It's not a collection NFT. I don't care if there's 10,000 of your NFTs that have different art traits, right? Because I'm not trying to collect art. I am looking to get a utility NFT that's going to increase my voting governance rights. So by keeping that supply low, not only does it make the secondary resale market, a lot more competitive, and people being willing to pay a lot more to, say, double up their voting power. So at best, I'm looking at maybe 1,000 tier 1, 500 tier 2, and 250 tier 3.
Okay, okay, gotcha. We got a couple questions in chat about the NFTs actually. First one is from Peter. He asks, actually no, it's from John E. Richter. He asks, will the NFT tiers stack?
No, they do not stack.
All right, and then the second one was from Peter. He asks, can a project buy a tier 3 NFT and then use it later on to promote a burn for their project? Like maybe, I guess adding on to that question, could they hold this tier 3 NFT in their wallet, collect a bunch of community funds through that, and then burn them all at once so they have double the power versus if people were to do it individually?
It's DeFi. It's an open market, baby. If you want to do that, absolutely feel free.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And then let's see, we got Nick's Knives Uses Extends. He asks, what stops one project from taking over? How can this be beneficial to all projects looking to burn tokens?
So I'm not sure exactly what you mean by, what stops one project from taking over. Taking over what? Like governance?
I think so, yes.
Okay. So let's say theoretically a project comes in and drops $10,000, right? Immediately after the token launches to scoop up as much governance as possible. Could they do that? Yes, absolutely. They're going to eventually burn through their governance if they're voting for themselves. Because once you burn that O burn to vote for your own project and back your vote and give it that governance weight, that O burn is gone, right? It's in the dead wallet now. It does not come back to you afterwards. So, they may be able to buy up a bunch of governance and burn a bunch of O burn to ensure that they win a vote, essentially. But they're going to run out because they're burning it.
Right, okay. Yeah, and then let's say, I mean, you could have like a bunch of people buying at launch, and then you could like watch wallets say, okay, Sphere's got X amount of tokens, 100 Days got X amount of tokens, MDB's got X amount of tokens. They start slowly using them more and more, but that just pushes the price of the token up since there's less and less in circulation. So
Exactly.
I guess you could look at it as like a timing the market almost, where like people are going to be using the tokens to burn them, so eventually there's going to be a point where your bag will be enough to influence a vote in your direction. It's just a matter of time. So that's interesting. Interesting aspects.
Exactly, exactly. If you want to watch the holders list, right, and watch as like, okay, I know this is say MDB's wallet or this is Sphere's wallet or whatnot, based off of the transactions, or maybe it's publicly shown, and you can watch as they're burning off these tokens, voting for their project. Because each month it's a new vote, right? Any vote from the month prior does not count, right? It essentially resets. So they may burn, say, a million O burn to vote for their project one month. Well, now they're down a million O burn. Next month, if they want to vote for their project again and they burn another million, now they're down even further. They're dropping down the holder list. Their governance weight is reducing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Let's see. We got a couple more questions in chat. Austin Clark asks, "What charity missions does OnlyBurns plan to do, and why will it be paired with Operation Gift Back?"
Nice little plug, Austin. Appreciate it. So OnlyBurns has actually already sponsored one of Operation Giveback's videos. So we really like what he's doing over there, right? The we very much love seeing DeFi protocols giving back, right? Helping with charity and helping out the world as a whole. So we love what he's doing over there, and we sponsored his burpee challenge actually. Um, so we are setting aside a very small portion of the funds raised during pre-sale to build up a treasury where we make investments, we farm it, etc. It grows the protocol's treasury, and that will allow us to take a percentage of those profits and do charity related give back, right? Um, so we are looking at having a little bit of a partnership there with Operation Give Back. where, when they're donating towards a charity cause that we feel strongly towards, we'll take that charity wallet and send some money their way.
Gotcha. I like it. Yeah. We also really love what Austin Clark is doing. We were helping support Operation Give Back with the big chess tournament that we did. So all of the keepsake NFTs and leftover sponsorship money just went straight to Operation Give Back. So I think it was something like $700-ish that we helped raise. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it was super exciting, and we're looking forward to continuing on partnering with Operation Give Back and the events going forward. So we actually got one
Awesome.
planned potentially soon. Sorry to take away from your AMA, but I'm really excited about this one. So
It's all good.
we're gonna be doing an AMA with Liquid Capital, and they're gonna be getting some sponsorships for that particular AMA. So maybe a few different slots for, I don't know, $100 or $200, and that's all gonna go to Operation Give Back. So I haven't told Austin yet, but I guess he's in the audience now. So surprise.
Love a good surprise. You want to bring Austin up on stage for a minute? I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'll invite him to speak. He says,
Maybe he
"How are you
can
gonna drop this bomb on me?"
maybe he can also, share a little bit about why he loves what OnlyBurns is doing.
Oh yeah.
Bro, I'm over here naturally just listening to this, editing a video, and you just play with my emotions like this.
Yeah. That I'll
It's
do that
awesome.
to you.
Hey, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I was talking with Eric about, I don't know, just like an hour ago, and he was super pumped about being partnered with you guys as well. And we're, talking it up, and he wanted to do an AMA with us, and we want to do something a little bit different. So we're gonna have a community engagement aspect as well, with like a potentially like a Kahoot or something at the end or throughout the event, and have some sponsors in there, and then all that raised would just go to helping our partners as an Operation Give Back. So we're super excited for it.
Heck yeah, bro. Dude, and just real quick about OnlyBurns. So I was talking to Surreal.
Cyril.
Have I been saying your name wrong this whole time?
Yeah, that's okay.
Chiral. Okay, my bad. Chiral. So I was talking to Chiral, like, I think it was a few weeks ago, and he sent me the website and everything, and we were talking about sponsoring the burpee challenge, and I was reading it, and he can attest to this. I was like, bro, this is literally genius. Like, how has nobody came up with this yet? Like, it's freak because I'm just sitting here thinking of all the different like utilities that OnlyBurns could be added to. Is like how we're already having like the curve wars over on Polygon with what Sphere is doing. I mean, you could have a whole little section where now you have the burn wars, and it's like added on to all this, right? So freaking amazing little things that are popping up, especially in the bear market where we're seeing like true creativity be made.
You heard it here first, gents. Austin Clark loves us.
I fully support.
Yeah. There are going to be opportunities, by the way, to win whitelist spots. It's we're being very stingy with the whitelist spots because most of them are reserved for individuals who had bought back when we were still known as UFTP prior to the relaunch. But we have a couple set aside for winning opportunities, and we're actually going to give away two of them at the end of the AMA today. Only two, because like I said, we're very stingy with these, but it will allow you to buy OBurn at a discount. And the way we run it, whitelist is only going to be booked to fill the allocation. So you theoretically, if there's, let's say there's 100 people assigned to whitelist, let's say you're number 100, you could whitelist will run for 24 hours, so you could wait until like the last hour of the day to make your buy, right? So it's time zone inclusive. You're not going to have to sit there panicking trying to figure out, okay, when's it launch? What time does it have to be? Let me make sure I'm at my desk ready to go with it loaded up. Nah, you chill, right? There's going to be plenty of time for fire later. but we want to make sure our whitelist is a nice, easy experience, and then it moves to public pre-sale. If any tokens are not sold during whitelist, let's say someone got it, and then financial situation changes, they can't buy. Those unsold tokens will roll into the public pre-sale, so it will roll from one allocation to the next. And public pre-sale, well, shoot, bring your fire for that one because it's going to be a war, right? It's first come, first serve. Once that allocation is sold out, it's gone. It is capped per wallet, but there's nothing really stopping someone from making multiple wallets if they wanted to and buying from multiple sources. That's up to their discretion. Wink, wink.
Hey, man, real quick, I'm not sure if this was asked, and I was really curious. Is this so with this project? Are you like is there any like financial incentive or revenue that you get from this project? Because of course, you're putting a lot of time and effort into it. Like, and I ask all the founders this, like, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a small percentage allocated to the team, and that's paid out over a drip, right? And there's a vesting period for that. Let me pull up, where do I have the allocation? Okay, it's in one of my documents here somewhere. Sorry, it is a small percentage, though. I believe it's something in the nature of like 5%, and that's allocated for retaining talent, hiring developers, and that's paid out in a drip over time, and there's a vesting period of 3 months. So it ensures that any team allocation, which again it's a very small percent. I see most projects tend to do like anywhere from 10 to 15% allocation, and we want to keep that small, right? But it keeps any team allocations from getting dumped into the market, right? It's vested for 3 months before they even get any of it, and then it's paid out over a drip. My personal financial incentive, like, I'm not really taking much from the team allocation because I have plenty of my own funds, right? I've been trading in stocks and cryptos for stocks at over a decade, 12 years now, crypto about 8 years, DeFi for about 3. I ain't hurting. So, like, for me, I enjoy the building aspect, right? I enjoy building things, growing things, coming up with new use cases and utilities to kind of, rock the DeFi world, so to speak. And, that's what excites me. That's why I do what I do. The team allocation is mainly to go towards the staff that we have working, where we have the Cheetos, who's been building up our Discord. Mad props to him. He's been doing a great job. He's also been managing the Twitter.
Dude, Cheetos is the best moderator.
Right? But yeah, so me personally, I'm gonna be buying mine during whitelist, and then a very small, tiny portion of the allocation kind of goes to me, but I won't see that for a while. So most of what I'm gonna be getting during whitelist alongside everyone else.
Well, I appreciate you letting me come up here, Zach. I'm gonna run, but this is a really good AMA, and I look forward to receiving the whitelist. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. All right. Oh, we got Brent in the house now too.
He's stuck up here.
That automatically.
I have no idea. I didn't send you an invite. Do you have any questions you want to ask?
I was typing away, and I went to hit enter, and all of a sudden I was on stage.
It's magic.
Well, hey, if you got any questions you want to ask, I guess it's a good time, but if not...
I've got one question. When is Will Hunting going to get another pay rise?
Oh, Will Hunting, huh? He's got jokes today.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know the inside joke, basically I am Will Hunting. I'm releasing my identity, much like when Iron Man stepped out on stage.
Well, we appreciate the transparency there, sir.
Yeah. But no, I'm just pleased to be a part of the team. To be fair, it's much if I do spend most of my time shit posting the community.
Well, of
Well,
course.
you know, all posts are appreciated, you know. But yeah, no, glad to have you here, and we look forward to seeing any future OnlyBurns videos coming from Sir Brent the Schiller.
There's 2 videos that are scheduled to be up next, and one of them is for OnlyBurns.
Ooh, that's exciting.
But with how busy I am at the moment, it could be the schedule to make 2 videos could take me a month.
Oh, so what you're saying is we'll have to light a fire under you.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Every time I think, and I'm like, yeah, it's starting to quieten down now. I can relax and start getting back to doing some fun things. I go, oh wait, no, I've had another idea, and we're going to build another thing.
It's
And
never
then,
ending.
yeah, Equinox tells me to fuck off.
All right. Well, appreciate you,
Yeah.
sir.
Keep talking about only getting these people hyped up, my man.
Always.
I love you.
Love you too, Brent.
Thanks for coming on. All right. I guess the last question I had was, what are you hoping to raise through the pre-sale?
So pre-sale, based off of the way we're running the pre-sale tokenomics, let me bring up that spreadsheet because I have it all calculated out right here. So I'd seen a question earlier asking what our starting supply is, and we're starting off with a supply of 1 trillion. But due to the hyper deflationary nature of it, that's going to drop pretty quick. Just as an example, during our, I guess you could say, test run with UFDP, we wound up reducing the supply by about 20% over the course of, I believe it was 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. So the supply drops pretty quick. But yeah. So during pre-sale, we have a limited 200 spots for whitelist. That's it, and that's capped at a max buy of 400 USDC. So that the whitelist spot in and of itself raises $80,000, assuming sellout. We only have a total of 675 public pre-sale spots if they purchase the max allotment. Now, the max allotment is 800 USDC. Obviously, more spots would be available because it's based off of token allocation. If let's say you buy $100 worth, right? Well, then that other 700 would be available for someone else to purchase. But all told, based off our pre-sale and the tokenomics and even with the limited slots, if we sold half of everything, our starting liquidity pool total would be about $600,000. If we sold out in full, our starting liquidity would be around 1.2 million. So we and that's even with having the caps, having the limited amount of spots available, and not factoring in projects or protocols that create multiple walls so that they can buy more during the pre-sale, or whatever will happen post-launch, right? So conservative, even if we only sold out half, we'd have a liquidity pool that's about $600,000, which we feel is a very nice spot to be launching in.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good sized liquidity pool for a new project just starting out.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
But yeah, are there any other aspects that we haven't gotten to touch up on yet?
Yeah, so let me think here. We have our burn as a service, the networking with the other protocols, the promotional pre-sale burns towards communities that bring the most members in. We have the tiered NFTs to increase governance rights, and we're looking at expanding. So our roadmap is pretty short and sweet and to the point right now, because the remainder of it, we're still kind of sorting out where we want to go next year. Because let's be honest, a couple of months in crypto time can see a very big shift in the market. We can see new utilities dropped, like the stuff that Polygon's been dropping, with their zero knowledge, protocols and everything like that, right? It presents a lot of opportunities. And so I don't want to say, oh, we're going to introduce a staking aspect that allows you to earn, say, arson, which serves a different purpose in the ecosystem, or, introduce staking with the NFTs that provides a drip of O-burn, which are all things that we can do and are on the table and under discussion. But we also don't want to lock ourselves into it until we know that that's the right move to make, based off of how our protocol launch goes, how the market sentiment shifts, what new technologies are coming to the market. So if I pigeonhole us and say that, okay, we're going to do XYZ, and so but then new technology comes out that we could jump on and do something better, but in order to meet the roadmap, we got to waste time developing XYZ, right? So the roadmap will evolve with our protocol. There are, like I said, there's a lot of ideas that we've been tossing around as a team in regards to adding additional value, additional utility beyond all the amazing utility we're offering already, to continue growing and developing the protocol. And when we get to a point where we say, okay, we can develop this in X amount of time. This is perfect for how our protocol launch went. This is something that we can do that makes sense for where our protocol is. And we can do it next amount of time, and we don't really foresee anything else popping out in the next, couple weeks while we put this together, right? We can go ahead and announce that, update the roadmap with that, let people know that, hey, this is what's for sure coming, right? So yeah, and we're very in touch with our community. If the community says, hey, we think it would be great, based off of, like, let's say we launched, we're a month into it, and the community says, hey, I want to be able to stake my NFTs to earn an additional drip of governance tokens, and the community all agrees they want to see that happen. Well, then we do that, right? Because, a single little flame can be extinguished easily, but if the community comes together as a roaring fire, we want to feed that fire. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And one thing I want to touch up on, like the last thing I guess I'll talk about, is that a lot of protocols and projects out there, they have this extensive roadmap, like they want to do a billion different things, but that really just locks them up, because those things oftentimes are things like one common thing that we're seeing now is, like, we're going to create a DEX. Like, everybody's creating a DEX now. And that's just taken away from development work that could be doing something innovative. And rather than putting something like a DEX on the roadmap to hype people up a little bit, because, like, oh, we're going to be coming out with our own DEX, we're going to be developing it as we go and continuing to evolve the protocol. Putting that on the roadmap kind of locks yourself in, and it takes away from your ability to adapt in the future. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but keeping an open mind, especially when you have a brand new concept introduced to the space, like OnlyBurns, you don't need a billion different things to be attractive for people to utilize. Like, if somebody wants to use a Burns as a service and get their community involved, and it just makes sense for a lot of protocols to promote something like this. And you don't have to have your own DEX, your own nodes, your own whatever to be successful, right? Like sticking to one thing and being really, really good at that is a strategy that a lot of people have seen a lot of success with. So
Exactly. And to kind of expand on that just a little bit. So it's like you're right. This is a new utility, a new service. We have no idea yet what kind of effect it's going to have on other DeFi projects, on other protocols. We don't know. I hate to use this cheesy line, but we don't know the full extent of our power yet, right? So, it's I would much rather partner with a DEX and say, we're going to integrate some of our systems so that now, let's say, your DEX can offer subsidiary burn as a service. So every percentage of transaction that comes across with your token gets routed through the burn as a service and burns off a percentage of it, right? I would much rather partner with other protocols because you grow faster that way, right? And DeFi is a huge space. There's plenty of room for us all to sit at the table and eat together instead of being like, no, I'm going to build my table over here and eat my dinner, or oh, I'm going to make a bigger table with blackjack and hookers, over there. It's why not just all sit at the same table, play nice together, and see how we can all benefit one another.
yeah, no, that 100% makes sense. And a lot of people just quite simply overlook that. So I'm glad you guys are very open to that and are ready to adapt at a moment's notice. It seems like it, and something that's very crucial because, as you said, like markets change sometimes seemingly instantly. Like sometimes there's a negative sentiment, and the next day there's a positive sentiment, and you never really know. And having that ability to adapt, I think, is super crucial.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think there's some community questions that have piled up. If we can address those kind of quickly, and then because we're getting close to the hour mark, and I don't like taking up a whole lot of people's weekend. Um, we appreciate you guys all joining us and everything like that, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. So if we could touch on those community questions, I think Red Moon posted a nice summary.
Yeah, definitely. So he's actually not in the chat right now, so that's why I haven't been asking him. But
Oh, gotcha.
we can definitely ask him. He does have a couple of good ones. So the first one is: do you expect the project to last for years to come, or only months?
So the way it's set up, it can theoretically last as long as it wants to, right? Because even if the supply is reducing, um, that doesn't matter because it just means it costs more. Like theoretically, let's say, 5 years out, the supply of Oburn has reduced all the way down to like 100,000 tokens, right? Just due to the burn nature. And people are like, oh, I'm going to go buy $1,000 worth of Oburn and get zero point 0.1 tokens. It still functions the same, right? But, so obviously, price fluctuations based off of market demand, yada yada. But the protocol itself would still function correctly regardless of the amount of tokens in circulation. So I would love to see this last for years, right? I'd like it to be because you always see like a protocol comes out with something new, right? Everyone remembers Ohm because they were like one of the first to bring out that node style, rebasing, etc., right? Um, they are quintessentially the most well-known um, first. So even if over time other protocols spin up, burn as a service or whatnot, we are still the first. We're still around. We're still functioning. We're still operating beautifully, and we can keep building and growing. Right? We can, if the supply winds up, burning off. Let's say there's a need for an additional aspect of it. Well, then we could introduce you stake your governance NFT and you get a drip of arson, or things like that, right? There's ways to continually evolve and adapt your protocol so that it's always around.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Let's see. He's got a couple other good ones that I wanted to touch up on. his fifth question, his second through fourth, kind of all related back to your answers. So I'll just ask the fifth one. Could regulations have an impact on this?
I mean, honestly, I don't see how, right? Because it is so regulations. I do have a very good understanding of the SEC regulations, just due through being a CEO for a corporation and operating Parrotly Finance. And in addition to the KC consulting services that I offer, I have a very good understanding of regulations. And this doesn't fall really under any of those rulings. It is a fully decentralized token, right? We don't have like if the team allocation was something like 20% and we had enough to influence the price of the token, right? Then that would be an issue. It would trigger one of those regulations. But this is simply a DeFi service, quintessentially. People are buying the tokens and burning it of their own volition to receive a benefit for a project that they are maybe a holder in, right? So it doesn't really trigger any of those regulation concerns.
Perfect. And let's see. The last one is how can projects apply for a promotion or is a burn?
I think with the wording promo, he's talking about the promotional burn that we were discussing, like at the beginning. And so that, like I said, is going to be handled via React roles. So like, let's say you're from Cardinal House. When you join the server, when we enable the enact roles, you're going to hit, the Cardinal House React role, and then you'll get a role there, right? And then after, after our pre-sale, that's when we do the promotional burns. So like if Cardinal House has the most people joining through the Cardinal House, then we would use a portion of the funds raised during pre-sale to buy and then burn the Cardinal House tokens. So not only does this benefit the projects that are bringing members in, but it also benefits us in showcasing that, hey, we're here. Here's a burn that we've done. It gets that excitement. That initial, oh shit, Oburn just bought and burnt this project's tokens, and look what it did on their chart. Right? That's what gets people excited, and that's what allows projects to actually do the marketing for us. Right?
Yeah, I think it's really brilliant, and I got a couple ideas spinning in my head too, and how you could even like add on to that, but maybe we'll save that for another day. We do have a giveaway coming. 5 whitelist spots. If I correct me if I'm wrong. So
yeah.
Yeah. So how would you like to distribute those? Would you want to do 5 random audience members, or 5 to the top 5 questions, or we could even have something creative like going in the OnlyBurns Discord and saying something in the chat?
Well, I would say what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, I would say, do it at random. And then people can join the OnlyBurns Discord and open a ticket, and we'll gather the relevant information from you at that point necessary to make sure you're on the whitelist.
Sounds great. I will get those winners to you very shortly.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Well, hey, appreciate you coming on and talking to us about the OnlyBurns and the upcoming Oburn token. Super excited. I mean, I think a lot of projects are going to have a lot of fun using your ecosystem. So,
yeah, definitely appreciate you guys having us here. Look forward to, coming back, maybe right before our pre-sale goes and sharing with you all the additional developments.
yeah, we would love to have you guys back on. We'd be super excited for that.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for coming out and giving us a listen today.
Yeah, take care, everybody.